welcome back to my channel. It is actually already the 1st of February, but I still haven't filmed my January wrap-up reading video, so I thought we would just do that quickly today, and then hopefully this will go up on the 2nd of Feb. But if it's not the 2nd of Feb and you're watching this and I haven't uploaded it until the week after, it's not my fault because I left it so last minute, but I still wanted to do it. I set myself a goal this year to read 103 books, which quite possibly could be a little bit ambitious, but where's the fun if it's not a challenge? So this month I read 9 books, which I actually think isn't that bad. I'm gonna go through, I think I might just do them in chronological order, you know, because otherwise I might get a bit confused. So we're just gonna keep it nice and easy. So one of the first books I read this year was actually a self-development book. Now, unfortunately, it's not on Fable. So if you are friends with me on Fable and it only says I read 8 books this year, I didn't, I read 9. This book just isn't on there. I have requested it, but no one's come back to me yet. So if you're watching this and you work at Fable, please put this book on. Might be a bit of a reach, but you never know. You never know who's watching. But the first book that I finished is 30 Phobia by Kate Bursky. Now this was actually gifted to me through my PT account on Instagram. She wanted me to read it and give her a little review and create some content for her, so I did that. I actually really enjoyed this book. It's basically about how, as a woman and like growing up as a woman, and I suppose men too, but this is like primarily for women, about how like there's a lot of pressure to get everything done before 30, and like how it can be quite scary getting older and feeling like you're behind and you haven't reached all of the goals that you want to reach. Last year when I turned 27, I remember literally feeling like, oh my god, I feel like I'm getting old, and that was the first time I actually felt like that. So it was really scary, and I remember just sitting there thinking, I don't want to be 27. I feel like this book would have been amazing to read back then, but through this year I've done a lot of growing and I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I am getting older and I'm not so bothered anymore. But this book is honestly amazing, and it has like the most perfect advice. It basically goes through a structure of like different phobias that people have surrounding getting older and turning 30. So this is the contents page. And then she basically breaks down each phobia, kind of talks about where it sort of comes from. She's got so many statistics and facts backed up in this book as well, which is amazing. She's done her own research. She did like a big survey for people who were like young and older. She uses quotes from that study and everything, and I think it's really put together really well. She then breaks down like how to reframe the goal, how to start looking in. Honestly, I would really recommend reading this book. It was really helpful, and I rated it 5 stars because I thought it was really good. If you're going to read a self-development book this year, make it this one. And then I decided to do a reread of Fourth Wing ahead of Onyx Storm coming out on the, what was it, the 21st of Jan, which was obviously a really big date for most of us. So I wanted to reread Fourth Wing ahead of it so that I could have it fresh in my mind and yeah, just enjoy Onyx Storm a lot more. So I won't talk too much about this because I have read it. It was a reread, but I really enjoyed it. I still rated it 5 stars. I forgot how much I loved this series, and I was so glad that I actually did the reread because Onyx Storm started off a little bit confusing, but I'll go into that in a second. So then of course I moved straight onto Iron Flame as well because I wanted to reread that. That was another 5 stars from Rebecca. After I finished Iron Flame, I still had like a couple of weeks I think before Onyx Storm came out, so I needed some like filler books to read until Onyx Storm. So I actually picked up Everyone Here Is Lying by Shari Lepina. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed with this book. So it's basically about a safe neighborhood with lots of families on this road, and one little girl goes missing, presumed on her way home from school. And then it's basically about how everyone on this road is obviously being questioned by the police because they need to find this little girl. And then it turns out that all of the families have like different secrets, and then everyone is suspicious. So it's kind of like throwing you off the scent of what actually happens and who took her, because it's like telling you all of these little secrets. So you're kind of thinking like, oh, could it be them? Could it be them? Oh, it must be this. And I feel like it had such a great concept, but it just wasn't written how I would like it to have been written. Like, it wasn't really that gripping. I did read it fairly quickly because it was quite interesting, but I wouldn't say it was that gripping. There wasn't any like big twists and turns. You weren't like super shocked by the ending. So yeah, I think it was a little bit disappointing if I'm honest, and I only rated this one 3 stars. So after I finished that thriller, I thought it was finally time to finish the Zodiac Academy series. Now if you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, I did not enjoy the ending of this series. Do you know what it was? I actually was so excited to read this, and I started filming like a reading vlog where I was like just kind of like going through all of the books and reading them. And at the beginning I really enjoyed it. Like I thought it was such an interesting concept. I thought the characters were cool, it was interesting, it was a bit different, like I really enjoyed it. It's quite gripping. But then I think it just got too long at the end. Like there did not need to be this many books and this many novellas, and I got so sick of having all of the different POVs. Like we just didn't need this much information. Like it was just so dragged out and I just really didn't enjoy it. But I'm glad that I finished it in the end. I won't talk too much on it because I still don't know if I'm going to post that video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see it anyway, even though I stopped filming after like the middle of the series. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you still want to see it, because I still have the footage, I think, so I should still be able to edit it and put it together. In the end, I rated this book, Restless Stars, which I think is book 9 if you don't count the novellas. I rated it 3 stars because it was too dragged out and it was kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry. I know that so many of you love it and I wish I loved it too, but I just didn't. So Restless Stars, I rated 3 stars. Oh my god, that was too many stars in one sentence. After reading those books, I did another read on my Kindle, which I can't show you because it was Kindle Unlimited and I've already given it back. But this one was called Shout Out to My Ex, which I didn't realise was actually the second book in a series. I didn't realise, but it was actually the second book in the Ever After Agency series. Why is that so hard to say? And I absolutely loved book 1 when I read it. I think I read it at some point last year and it was so good. I really connected with the main character, Poppy. I just loved her. I thought she was great. But in the second book, I just didn't connect with the main characters as much. It still had Poppy from book 1, which I liked because she works in the agency, right? And then we basically were introduced to Elle, who was a fashion designer. She's got her own business and she used to be absolutely in love with this boy from school. What was his name? I can't remember. I feel like it might have been Leo, but I actually think that might be wrong. Yeah, it was Leo, I was right. So she's basically in love with this boy from school called Leo and he like disappears, something happens, and then it's basically about her sister who's trying to reconnect them and get them back together again. But I just thought, I don't know, I just didn't love it as much as book 1. And I was quite disappointed because book 1 was so much fun and I really enjoyed it, but this one I just didn't love it as much. So I rated it 3 stars because I didn't love it, and that was that. Another Kindle Unlimited book that I read was called How to Kill Men and Get Away With It by Katie Brent. This was honestly such a fun comedy kind of thriller and I really enjoyed it. It was just really entertaining. I feel like it's got quite mixed reviews on Fable and Goodreads, but I thought it was a bit of fun. If you don't take it too seriously, then I feel like it's fine. It was a little bit gory though, I will say that, and it did put me off food quite a bit. But it was a super fun, kind of easy to read thriller. It wasn't like anything special, but I still really enjoyed it. So I actually rated it 4 stars because I flew through it and I just couldn't put it down. After that, I really didn't know what to read and I've been really dying to reread ACOTAR. If you've watched my little bookish week in my life vlog that I posted last week, you'll know I started reading ACOTAR again. And what a great decision because I've absolutely loved every second of my reread. I'm currently reading A Court of Mist and Fury. I am this far, I have this much left of the book, so I haven't got much to go and I'm really, really enjoying it. I want to try and finish it this weekend so I can move on to book 3, Wings and Ruin, Court of Wings and Ruin. But yeah, I really enjoyed the reread. Again, I'm not going to go into this too much because I've already read it and it's just a reread, but it was so much fun and I love it. It's my favourite series in the world. And then it was time for Onyx Storm. Okay, I actually have mixed reviews about this because I did not love the first half of this book and I'm really disappointed that I didn't, and I really, really wanted to. But the thing is with the beginning of this book was it was quite confusing. There was mentions of characters that we had met before, but they weren't like they weren't like a main part of the story, so it was kind of like, who the hell are these people? And I was getting really confused. And I kind of just felt like, you know in a fantasy book when the main characters just sort of like start traveling around and it gets a little bit boring because they're sort of just traveling from one place to another. That's what the first half of this book felt like, and I didn't gel with it. I did not gel with it. But then it got to chapter 42 and everything changed from there, and I was like, wow, this is what I came here for. This is what Fourth Wing series, is it the Empyrean series? This is what this series is all about. It gripped me from chapter 42 until the end. I really wish this book could have been a 5 stars like the first 2 books in this series were for me, but I did rate it a 4 stars. It would have been a 3, but Rebecca really pulled it through at the end and she killed it with that ending because wow. The ending had me staring into space for about 5 minutes and like hugging my boyfriend because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was just like, what? And it made me very grateful that I did decide to reread ACOTAR because I needed some comfort after that because it was just intense. But yeah, I rated it 4 stars in the end and it was okay. It wasn't my favourite, but I do think, you know, it is the middle, kind of the middle book in the series. There are going to be 2 more, so I do think hopefully the next 2 will be like showstoppers, like a brilliant end to the series. But yeah, that is all 9 books that I read in January. In February, I just really want to focus on finishing ACOTAR. I want to finish the series as quickly as possible because I really want to move on to Crescent City, and yeah, I really want to do Crescent City after I've reread ACOTAR, just because I feel like ACOTAR was a really great stepping stone into the, what do they call it on TikTok, Marsiverse? Marsiverse? The whole universe of Sarah J Maas, basically. I feel like it's a really good stepping stone into that because it's such an easy read and it's comfort, you know? It holds a special place in my heart and I just love it. That is my January wrap up and my February hopefuls. I hope that you enjoyed. I'm sorry if this felt a little bit rushed, but it is 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I do want to get this up tomorrow, but I really hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what your favourite book is that you read this month, and let's catch up in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!